got both sides of the fence.
All right. Are we live?
We are live.
All right. Welcome, everybody. It's Contractors Corner. I have to remember to say that. It's
Mhm.
Contractors Corner. It's Friday, 3 o'clock. I'm Adrian Park. With me, our founder, Jay Carter. And Jay, um, this is probably going to be a little bit, I don't know, controversial, but like you may not agree with this.
Okay.
I have, what's that?
I said, okay, that sounds good. Go on.
So, okay. So, um, I have I know in my head that email marketing works. I know
Mhm.
because I have friends that have made a lot of money with email marketing. I have a friend I was just talking to a week ago or 2 weeks ago that is actually watching your stuff, and he's learning. He's learning from from things you've shared with him, and yet, in spite of that, and I guess it comes from my personal experience. So like I I don't know that I buy a lot off of email personally,
Mhm.
and to me it's just it it's it's the um junk mail of the internet, you know?
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
all of it is garbage except for, my accountant was emailing me today. That was obviously
Mhm.
important. I was interested in that. But I mean, I don't there's so much, and I'm
So,
so grateful for like focused inbox, with the Outlook. Oh, it's probably the only thing that works on Outlook. But I love focused inbox. Um, but I just don't it's I don't get it, right?
okay.
And I don't use it. I don't buy from it. So it's like I just think to myself, it feels like there's so much, and we're obviously talking about today for contractors, but it's like, does it still work? Should
Okay.
people be doing it?
Yeah, so let's
I mean, I
maybe
know
talk.
we do it, but I'm just
Yeah.
telling you my honest feelings about it.
So you're right. That's going to be the opposite the way that I think. So let me share with you, and that's good. That's good. That's fine. So, let me first of all kind of get some clarity around. There's a couple of different types of email marketing. So one is a transactional email that you're sending out. That's informing clients of job starts, follow-ups. Those
Sure.
transactional emails. Okay, every contractor, it doesn't matter your size, shape, or form, they are a requirement if you want to survive in this game. And I'll tell you, right, just the straight fact in our business, 40 to 45% of our conversions that don't get made on the spot are done through email and following up. Okay, so
Wait,
that
what's
just
that
there
percentage again?
is
What's
45%.
Wow.
45%. So again, you can look at it two ways. Number one, all right, if you don't want to be successful, don't send any emails, don't follow up. It's simple as that, right? Like, again, you will fight a low conversion rate. And,
Right.
some guys will be screaming, oh, well, I use my phone, but all that's time. Okay. So we want to think
Right.
of what's the best ROI that I could possibly get without adding more time to my day. And the simple
Okay.
answer is I'm going to effectively follow up using email and using text messages, all right, on every single client's proposal that goes out. Now, I'm going to do that automated. If you don't have the time, there is not a bigger ROI that I could come up with you in any point at any point in everyone's business, period. Okay. So those two things, putting those in your business right now will increase your sales 10 to 15% right off the hop if you're not doing it. And it could be as high as 45 or 50.
So I was going to say, so just to maybe clarify,
Yep.
I guess my beef is with cold email.
Yeah. And we're going
I
to,
do, yeah. So I mean, maybe you can share your
sure.
point of view and opinion on that. But I
So,
also was going to say, just real quick, that I do believe. In fact, one of the things that I was disappointed that it did not do in my 7 years running the masonry business is that we never got organized around or getting our customer email list together and actually
mhm,
like dripping, doing like some like ongoing communication. I feel like we could have gotten more, like that would have been like a layup and it wouldn't have been that difficult
yeah.
to set up. And so that's something that I do believe in. I think that makes sense from a relationship standpoint because, like again, I was saying my accountant emailed me this morning, and I was like, oh, and I was glad that in fact, he had emailed me a month ago going, hey, by the way, we got to do some stuff.
Right.
And I was glad, I didn't think, oh, he's trying to like, get some billable
Yeah.
hours. I thought, oh, good. I'm good to hear from John and Sean,
Absolutely. So, okay. So let's make sure that we draw the line between what an opt-in email, cold email, you could call it, or a warm
Yeah.
cold. So that's somebody that's had a transaction with you or is opted in to like giving you their contacts. That is a totally different
Right.
list. So what I'm going to tell contractors is every single contractor has contacts where you've basically put up a bribe, be it an ad or whatever, and you've bribed that person to
Right.
opt in to the list. Okay. And it's your obligation at that point. That is sitting gold. All right. And I mean gold because we use our opt-in list. So people that already know, like, and trust us, or that have had a, experience with us, that know who we are. That is, again, we're going to go back to them multiple times until they say go away or stop emailing. We give them an unsubscribe. Okay. So we use that list and the deliverability. And I'm going to talk about that. It's a very, very important thing here. So deliverability is high because those people already know us. They're not putting us into the spam box. If anything, they're
Right.
unsubscribing. It's when they click us off as spam or that our emails come across looking like spam, that our URLs and like you can imagine your, if you're using your personal email, for example, and you're sending out mass emails that look spammy, what ends up happening is you damage your URL, your website, like the credibility of it. So don't do
Right.
that. Okay. So
Right.
you want to use a actual emailing system. So you can use ActiveCampaign. There's, a whole bunch of them out there. Won't get in specifically about that. So those lists, I'll tell you, 40%, again, coming back to stats, 40% of our leads that we generate are from those emails that go out. Reminders,
Wow.
reviews,
Yeah.
referrals, like those are called campaigns that we run. So for example, somebody gave us a good testimonial. All right. Well, at that exact moment, we're asking them, hey, do you know anybody else? Would you like to be in
Yeah.
our referral program? And then
Right.
we have an obligation to follow up with them over the years and months and days and make them other offers. Also going back to your list and asking if they need any other services. Because here's the reality. And a lot of guys get discouraged by this, but like on an average, you're only going to get a 2 or 3% response. Okay. It's because people in general and more, they're not opening them. They're, most of them go unread. That's not the point. The point of it is when you hit them at that 20% that they're open or they have a specific problem, that you're showing up. Okay. So the frequency and the content are very important when you're doing that. It has to be, in line with your brand. It has to, have a point or a purpose to it. If it's
Yeah.
education, that's one side of it, but everyone should come with a CTA. Like, why are you actually, there in the first place, right? So we try to keep our emails, in general, filled with tips and tricks, stuff that over the years we figured out kind of how our audience will respond. And it's huge. It's, 65,000 contacts, over 15 years,
Wow.
1% out of it, just do your math, right? Every time we run
Yeah.
1%'s responding. Now, for most contractors, they're not going to have really that many, but it's the
Right.
accumulation over time. And
Right.
what I want to say here is think about it this way. An average lead cost right now is nothing less than $25, and it could be $200. An email is free. So tell me, what gets you a better ROI?
That's a good point.
If you're sending out 100 emails and you got 3 people to respond to it,
Yeah.
like, just do your math. And even if you don't, remember this: people, when you show up in people's lives, even if it's, just in their email boxes, and they remember you, that's where referrals and like, again, it's those gentle reminders. How many of you right now have email in your email box, okay, from somebody you know, like, and trust, that you never open, but you still allow it to be in there?
Right.
Right.
That's a
So
good
it's from
point.
this thing.
Yeah.
And again, you see the headlines. And one of the things that I've learned a long time ago is I speak through my headlines. My headlines tell a story all on their own of why I'm showing up there. And if they have that specific problem, they're going to open the email. Right. So, again, you can be clever about it. There's a whole thing to it. For most contractors, they're going to opt to have somebody else do this for them in terms of creating it. But the ROI is, 10x any other investment you're going to make in marketing. And it's something, again, you want to think of if you've already done business with somebody, and this is for our service guys and stuff out there, you are out of your tree not to continue to try and do business with them, right? And this is where we see a lot of contractors consistently doing the turn and burn, always out of leads, they can never get enough because, again, even with, buying ads or buying advertisement, those have ups and down months too, right? Again, there's times of the season where a certain product fits in. I'm thinking of right now we're running, a special for gutter guard, right? Maybe we replaced a roof 15 years ago for this person, and now they got gutter guard. I have people calling me from 15 years ago, all right, that we did their roof on, and they've moved 3 times since then. Wow. Why is that? It's just keeping in touch, right?
That's great. Yeah.
And again, once you get it into a system and you have, you can look at it as another lever in your business that you can pull. All right. So that's really your warm email list. Okay. Now we're going to talk about a cold email list. This is to complete strangers. Now I'm going to be very clear about this.
Okay.
It is probably better off that you don't mess with it. All right. Unless you're going to hire a professional. No, I mean it. I've got to say it because there is a lot of technical challenges. Everything is set up against you to be successful in this one. Okay. And that's because people in general, you're right. They don't want spamming, and there's anti-spamming laws, and there's a whole bunch of, red tape that you have to go through. You have to have the right system. You have to have the right things. Now, maybe some of you guys listening here are like, hey, I'm only listening because you cold emailed me. And that's true. So the truth is, and I don't apologize. I did do that. Yes. And that kind of email system, again, is, you have to do a lot of work to show your credibility as not spam, right? To show up as not being spam. And again, there are, knowing your hooks, like there's so many elements that go into it, but there's a way better way to, if you're doing B2B business, or because this is in general, like it's hard to do cold email to customers, for example. It's a little bit difficult to do that because again, you have privacy laws, like unless you're buying lists. Where I see it being most useful and practical is in B2B. Okay. So again, for anyone that's listening there that got my cold emails, I'll tell you how we did it. Okay. So first off, we don't ever use our own URLs. Okay. You'll see if you look at that, that's way, if one URL goes down, no big deal. We just create a new one, and, we're able to, structure our email campaigns that way. Now, that's the first big thing that I want everyone to keep in mind. Even if you are emailing a stranger manually, do not use your own URL for that purpose. Okay.
Well, can you explain that, Jay?
Yeah. So think of your website. Your website is essentially your URL. That's your company name. So like if you are, plumbers.
me.com. Yeah.
Right. So what happens is you're able to register an email to that,
so
or multiple emails. Yeah.
jcarter@me.com.
Correct. Right. Yeah. That URL is connected to your website. So you want to protect that one at all costs. I don't even recommend sending your transactional emails out through that URL, because what happens is if you get flagged as spam, right? So somebody doesn't like your email and you didn't have an unsubscribe to it, what they'll do is they'll report your URL, and it's very hard to get it out of the blacklist. Okay. And essentially there you've burned the URL, like it's no good anymore. The time it would take to repair it doesn't make sense. So what we do, again, we buy hundreds of these things, right? Well, maybe not hundreds, dozens, I'll say. And we create emails inside of them. And essentially what we do is prove ourselves by sending emails back and forth and getting deliverability to them, warming them up, getting them ready to actually send out to a cold email list. Now, out of, and anyone that got my cold emails, that it was very clear about the unsubscribe, and we were clear, we knew it was a cold email. So, part of the idea here is don't be spammy, right? Offer some value, offer something that person would be interested in. The more and more personalized you can get, right? So knowing somebody's actual problem, being, having a potential solution, speaking their language, is going to get your emails opened and read. Again, this is a big deal if you're considering it, but for most contractors out there, what I would highly recommend is, using LinkedIn. Simple. If you're going to do a B2B outreach, process, again, you guys can reach out to us. We have a great one for it. But I mean, again, we're always making contacts. We're always making, and in LinkedIn, although not all the accounts are real or whatever, you can reach out to your ideal B2B client and network with them right inside of LinkedIn. You don't need to go to the extent of cold email and all scraping and all of these other things. And you don't want to take the risk. Honestly, it takes so much time to set up and really do at scale and at size. If you only want to make contacts with 300 or 400 people, two things can occur. Number one, what I would recommend is identify those buyers. Like, why do you want to make contact? What do you have in common? What do you have to offer them? And take everything you would like to say to them and put it in 4 sentences, less than that. Okay. And don't assume anything. Okay. You want to reach out to somebody in a cold way. All right. Think about meeting somebody at the bar. All right. Are we going to start off with, a big pitch? No, of course not. We're going to be casual. We're going to ask first for the simple things. You know what I mean? Like, hey, do you want to connect? You want to network? That's a good start. Be respectful of people's inbox and don't come off as spammy. Don't be spammy, right? Offer some value. Tell people who you are, why you're emailing, what you have to offer. Like, direct is always although I'll probably get some disagreement with this, but my opinion is being direct and giving somebody the option to say go away. Right. I don't want to market to somebody that isn't interested. Right. I don't want to, spend my time, potentially warming up somebody to have them, not be my ideal client that I can never do business with. It's quite the opposite. Right. So we want to think of that the same way. The good thing about LinkedIn, again, is it's a way to network in that environment. All right. Where, again, it's expected. It's a social network for business people to network. Okay. So now there are some tips and tricks and things that you can do to accelerate it. And, I'll leave that, if anybody's interested, book a call with us. We're very successful at B2B emails and getting big campaigns. If you are a national company or you have maybe a state business, you're really looking to grow and scale, this is another very big lever that comes with a low cost that's going to give you massive ROI. And it's the real secret sauce behind a lot of great brands. And it comes down to this. It's the companies that are capable of outbounding. Okay. So outbound is you can take somebody that's completely cold to you and turn them into a customer consistently. Okay. That is going to add massive value on your evaluation if you're considering sale. And it's going to prepare you for any situation that comes up. So think door knocking. That is a outbound task. Okay. Yeah. Companies that do those things or do those things consistently and well, typically win the game. All right. So if your customer is a B2B customer, like let's say you're, working for HOAs or, property managers and you need to build a big business, build a big network, and you have some time to invest into it, cold emails, again, it's one of the cheapest, easiest ways, and it does get results. That's the thing people don't understand. Done properly, set up properly, there's a lot of technical side to it. It's exponentially, it has massive ROI. There's nothing else you're going to do that will touch it, right? So my recommendation for guys that are smaller than that and only trying to make a few contacts is use LinkedIn first to make, have a conversation with someone. To genuinely have a conversation, you want to keep your email, and with that platform, unlike Instagram and all of those ones, it's not a conversational platform. Okay, so keep that in mind. When you're writing your intros and stuff, you have to be to the point. CTAs, like it's got to be structured like an email, not a chat. Okay, I think a lot of guys make that mistake, is that they try to chat with somebody over LinkedIn, and people aren't on the platform often or long enough to really have that kind of interaction. Once you get somebody's permission from there, then it's okay to email them. All right. So again, get permission and then have a purpose for emailing them. That's a good way for a small, group, you want to network with, your ideal buyers. That's a great way to kind of begin it. And then I would use a newsletter You know, you can use Active Campaign, a couple of other emailers that, again, they're designed for warm audience. So people who know you. All right. So you see what just happened there? We warmed them up in LinkedIn. We got their permission. We moved them to our regular list. And even if you're just sending it out to 25, 30 people that are your ideal buyers, that's, I mean, that's the name of the game, right?
So, all right. So just to kind of go back, you're saying, and I again, this, I agree with this. Like, um, I was not interested in setting up cold email, right?
Right.
That had no appeal to me. And I feel like it just seems like one of those things for, getting jobs, like it's probably a long lead time and a
Mhm.
very long,
Can
like
be.
long to get payoff. But so like where we can, maybe there's like for people, so, what something people can use right now, because, again, everybody, I mean, today, even if you've been in business for more than 25 or 30 years, you still have a lot of emails, right?
Mhm.
So, I mean, what's like a ABC 1, 2, 3,
Yeah.
way to organize that, if everything's like sitting in a, because like, again, I mean, the business I was running had been around for 40 years and
Mhm.
had no contact manager at all, right? I mean,
Yeah.
there was no organization. The only place I think emails were was in QuickBooks.
Right.
They weren't.
That's a great resource, by the way. So emails in QuickBooks, you can download that CVC file and you can then upload it into one of these, bulk mailer systems. You can also
Okay.
have a bulk mailer on your Gmail account. And what I want you to really, in terms of steps, is first of all, you have to have structure to the content. Okay. What are you going to share? Why would that
Right.
person
That's a
that you're
good point.
sending it to have a reason to open it? Okay. And again, remember, they don't have to be long, complicated emails. It's actually proven already that most people just read the headlines and they read the first 5 sentences of the email if they're interested in the hook or the headline
Right.
subject line of the email. So think about, again, these people already know you and you're going to reach out and you're going to try and persuade them or interest them in, whatever your offer is going to be. Okay. That's perfectly okay. Now, if you want to take it to another level, and again, it depends on your market. So like I said, you need to know your buyer. You need to know who you're sending it to and why it would matter to them. It doesn't matter about, like, don't get into the habit of sending these long emails about look how great I am and look at all the great things I've done. I see a lot of guys doing that, and I've done
Yeah.
it myself. It's generally ineffective and it gets you unsubscribed very quickly. You got to think, what would help my customer with whatever problem that I can solve. Okay.
Right.
You can write a story about it. So I like to use this format. It's the easiest one to remember, and you're probably going to get sick of me saying it, but you're going to start off with your subject, which is your hook, a story, right? And your offer. Okay. Easy as pie, right? And if you try to put that into context, we can say, hey, you know, um, we just started installing this new gutter guard system. Your story is going to be why you're installing it. I had this customer, come forward. They were, continuously having to clean their leaves out. They had an accident. From that day on, he vowed never to climb back on his roof. We've been cleaning out his gutters for the last 5 years. We found this great product, right? And now we're installing it. And we want to know if you would be interested in, saving a life and not ever having to clean your gutters out again, right? So again, that's a very, roundabout way, but if you think about it, it really doesn't get you into trouble, right? So we're not getting disorganized with our thoughts, and we're trying to make it as short and to the point as we can. Okay. People have a very low attention span, and especially in email boxes. Okay. The other thing too is, again, I've got to say this for everybody out there, there's different rules and stuff, is when you capture a contact, in any CRM or anything else, do not get into the habit of trying to send a bulk email off a CRM. It does not have the capability. Get yourself, again, a good bulk email thing and have that contact immediately put into the email list so it stays there. Okay.
Yeah.
Going back too long where people don't remember you will get you in big trouble with your email lists, right? So you want to, if you're going to start this, my best recommendation is if you have a massive, untapped, email database. And I was just working with a guy on Tuesday. and he's going to laugh about this, but we talked about where, like, what are your assets? Most of what we do is going in and looking at people's watches, telling them what time it is. So he happened to have 20, 30,000 contacts in his database. And I was like,
Wow.
what are you doing with those?
Jeez, oh,
It's like, what are you supposed to do with them? I'm like,
Pete.
okay, so what if I told you that every contact in there, in ours, is worth $29.90? Okay. What now, what's that $20,000 look like? That's 290 grand, right? Untapped
That's real,
right there
real
for you.
money. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's real money.
But that is an average. That's actually a
Yeah.
low average. You know, depending on how good your content, it could be even higher. So for, again, everyone you have as a contact, a warm contact, you're able to, again, increase your ticket price, increase awareness, like, you know, everything we do and pay for in, you know, digital marketing, you've got them right there, right? And that's the benefit to being in a
Yeah.
mature business. The more you tap into that properly, okay, the more you're going to see internal organic or outbound strategies working, right?
So
As-
what I want to ask, so then, because this is, again, this is something I had wanted to was just get to and just never got to it. So what would a email, ongoing email campaign to, leads and customers, what would that look like, like every month, every couple of months? Like how
yeah,
often do you know what I mean? To like, because I mean, it does make sense. It does make sense to me to, especially for people who've done business with us, right?
yeah,
Like to reach out and say, maybe like remind them that, I don't know, remind them that, you know,
birthdays, all that kind of stuff,
well,
you know?
birthdays, I was gonna say like, but like even like educational kind of
Yep,
things, like, there's like you were saying about gutter guards,
yep,
like for business I was in, I mean, like reminding them that like, their caulking needs to be done every 5 to 7 years, just to, and that's well, like a little big thing as far as like keeping water out and or whatever, like things that like, you don't think about
right.
when you're a homeowner or, in a building or whatever. And you're like, oh yeah, and then all of a sudden you're walking around your building and you see that the caulk, you see a window, it's cracked and powdery, and you remember the email, and then you get the contractor gets a
That's
call, right?
so again, for guys that are skeptical out there, what do you think the conversion on ads are that you're paying every click for? What do you think what do you think like an average click cost is?
Oh man, I don't know. I know
Okay.
but I
Yeah.
don't know.
So, and again, this is where most guys, they get caught up with the immediate, like they want to go and buy Google ads. They want to spend, well, the average click cost is about $2.19. Okay.
Okay.
So you're paying to put your click out there to an absolute stranger that doesn't know you, but you're afraid to send an email 2 or 3 times to people who do. It makes no sense, right? Like, so, it comes down to this when I'm answering this question is,
Yeah.
I'll put it to you like this. If you want a very filtered list of people that are only like really serious about it, send it 3 times a week. All right. Because the worst that's
Oh,
going to happen is you're going to get
people
unsubscribed,
unsubscribe. Yeah, that's
right?
good.
And your list is going to shrink. And that's okay because it's only people there that are truly interested in what you have to offer. Now, if the frequency is too, like once a month, that's not enough. Don't bother. Okay. Because
Okay.
the reality is, again, we're only getting 3 or 4% of people that are interested. All right. From that, if you get 30% that open it, it's, 40% that open it. So the frequency and the content being, the more specific it is to the audience that you're trying to sell your offer to, all right,
Yeah.
those things matter. Now, again, there is in between that, there are rules or not rules, I guess, there's conditions that you would want to consider. So if I'm dealing with a customer, all right, that I've done business with, they're on my warm email list. Okay. No harm, no foul. They opted in. They don't mind seeing
Right.
us in their email box, their new offers and everything. And there's lots of people that does. It depends. Okay. Now, if I'm reaching back out to contractors that they do bids and we're already on their bid list and they already send us their bids, don't spam them. Okay. That's not going to help you. All right. That's going to hurt you because they're going to unsubscribe and take you off the bid list. Okay.
Right.
So the other thing you want to be careful of is inside and why I use, an email system is that you want to look at the actions and activity that goes on. Don't just set these things up and let them run full out.
Right.
You have to take people off. Like when people's emails bounce, when, you're unsubscribed, but who's actually opening them? Okay. Cause I'm going to increase the frequency of people who actually open them. All right. And I'm going to slow down or remove the people who don't.
Right.
Okay. So
Okay.
that's,
So yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. I have another question for you.
yeah. So again, if you're at that scale, I'll put it to you like this. If you have more than 2,000 or 3,000 contacts, reach out to us. We'll help you set that campaign up. Don't try and do it yourself. Okay. If you have an inactive list, again, don't just one day decide to throw them into one of
Yeah.
these things. You will,
I was gonna say,
yeah,
so don't do what I would have done, right?
right.
Which is just load everything up, think like write a bunch of emails, like,
Yeah,
and then just start blowing up, like
right.
just firing
Have
them
your
off
email
because
delisted in Google, like
yeah.
spammed all over. Like, see, again,
Don't
here's
do
some
what I would
big,
have done.
right. And then none of your actual like transactional emails. So giving proposals to customers, responding to customers. Just think if all those emails went into the junk email box because you did that.
Yeah, you'd be screwed.
Right. So that's why don't do that. Right.
Yeah.
Think it through, be smart, educate yourself. It is it's a tough thing to get started, but once it's started, very easy to maintain and take care of. And again, we'll help you. We'll set it up. We'll get it running for you. But like, if that's not your area of expertise, and I know it's taken me a number of years to really, and I have made those mistakes. Jay Carter Roofing, I've shared with you, has been blacklisted several
Yeah,
times, and it's taken
right.
me, and one was including our emails that could not go out, and we had to change to .ca from
Crazy.
.com. And, again, these are the lessons you learn when
Yeah.
when you push the envelope on things that you shouldn't, right? So like, just be smart about it. Reach out and get somebody to set it up and do it properly for you. It's well worth the investment. You won't get a better ROI on ads, on anything else.
Yeah. So just again, I think to like, and this is like, I'm just thinking about my questions, right? So just for
Yep.
me, because this is not something that I know a lot about. So if I've got, I mean, again, I have to imagine, we had, I don't know, probably a couple thousand, at
Mm-hmm.
least 2 to 3,000, maybe more, emails. And so, okay, so I've got a couple thousand emails that are like hiding in my QuickBooks account. And so I can get those out through just like a CSV, like it's a,
Yep.
simple Excel, like export, got it. And then, so I should not, do what you did and what I
Right.
would have done, which is like, like get on my, like I'm going to put this together and build a big thing. And so we should work with somebody on it.
Yes.
And then I guess that's the other thing. So, it's in like, what do you say, like, what do you, so if you're going out weekly to people, is it, what are you saying to customers, and do you divide it up? Is there different groups,
So,
right? I mean,
so here's what I would say. If you can't do the first step, okay, and that's, if you haven't technically know how to set up one of these campaigns, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to assume that you're probably not the best person to have writing the emails either. This is going to be, I'm just, again, I just want to, I'm that person that I had to get my hands into it, and I had to like figure it out, and I had to like,
yeah,
I recognize that that is not like, I don't want to give anyone the wrong advice. This is a trade per se. So like, again, someone writing an effective converting email, okay, you're not going to do that out the gate. It might take a couple hundred of them to do it. And do you want to invest? So it's way easier to outsource that to an agency that does that, full time, day in, day out,
yeah,
and knows the nuances to these things. If you have a warm list and you are comfortable writing copy, you can use ChatGPT. We have lots of prompts for those too. If anyone wants them, reach out. And that's something that you truly enjoy doing and that you understand the purpose of doing. Okay. Again, like I said, by all means, reach out for the technical side. But most contractors I know should not be sending emails. All right.
right,
And for the simple reason, they need to tell somebody what they're trying to offer. Okay. Because there's frameworks that have to go with it. Again, just think of it as you being on the other side. All right. You receiving this email, and I've seen it as bad as mine, misspelled, looks like, hey, looking for a roofing job. Like, you know what I mean? Like it can come off and not make you look very
Right.
good and do more damage
Right.
than good. Right. So
Right.
again, this is where you have to make a decision. Is it worth it from a business perspective? 120% all day long. Okay. Is it
Yeah.
something you want to implement and have somebody help you with to just get started? Because again, like I said, you can put a very simple system just for follow-ups and a once a month email that goes out to warm lists. That's cool. That's fine. But if you're not comfortable writing copy and writing your message, spend the money, get somebody to do it. It's done. You can use it. I'm still using, here's something for you. I had a set of email follow-ups written 21 years ago. Okay. We're still using them to
Okay.
today, and they're still converting
Yeah.
at the same high. I've tried to replace them. I've tried to
What?
rewrite them. Yep.
Get
I
out of
spent I
here.
spent $5,000 21 years ago to have a
What?
copyright, write my whole email follow-up things, and we're using the exact same ones today.
No
Exactly the same.
way.
No, exactly the same.
That's insane.
Right.
Really?
But because they work, right? Because
Mm,
the message in them never changed. The
yeah.
value that they were in terms of following up, and the only things that changed is the products that we used in there, but
Jay,
the
what have you
message was the exact same,
Jesus Christ. What do you
right?
think I mean,
That's
21
what I said.
years. What have
Yeah.
you just I'm just gonna, and you don't have to answer this, but
Mhm.
what do you reckon you've made on that? Like
Oh,
what how many
like
millions of fucking
over
I mean
100
it's
million, easily
oh
over
my
100 million.
God. That's
Just on those,
crazy.
it's an 8 series emails. And you want to know how funny this is?
That's
They originally
insane.
were direct mail because we didn't have email at the time. They were
So
direct
this
mail.
was
So
written
we
for
would we would mail them out every week
get
on our
out of
follow-ups.
here.
We would mail them out to the customer.
Holy cow,
That's
man.
how but good copy
That's
stands the test of time,
crazy.
right?
Yeah. Wow. Wow.
It's crazy, right? And it's
Just
still like
argument. Yeah.
and I work with great copies and stuff. Like you don't fix something that's not broken. We've had consistently high open rates, high response rates, high like
Yeah.
so again, you don't have to mess with it. And I've tried to replace them. I've tried to use other ones and like, mix and match things. It's just never worked out. And we've always gone back to the same ones.
That
Crazy, eh?
literally, I
Best
mean,
investment
I
bar
was gonna
down
say,
for
is that
everything.
not the best five
Yeah.
thousand dollars you've ever spent in your
Oh yeah.
entire life?
It the first the
Crazy.
first the first time I sent them out, okay, it was a follow up to all the leads that I had in my CRM at the time. Okay. It like more than paid for itself in that one shot. I was like, that's the best money. The first time I've been
That's
sending them out for
crazy.
21 years, week after week
That's
after week. Like,
crazy.
yeah. But that's
Wow.
again, these are the assets that all companies need to have, right? Because
Yeah.
those things, a conversion and like how you take somebody through your journey, what message and what you're saying. And these are considered in your email, marketing campaigns, right? Like, your texts now as well are equally as important, right? Getting the right message and saying the right thing at the right time, okay, creates conversions, right? So we can think of it, transactionally. Somebody's already reached out, you have a strong, chance of doing the work. We can think of it as warm, you've done the work, or maybe you didn't get the job, but here's another opportunity down the road. And then we can even add another layer to that, which is we want to use it to meet strangers, right? Work with
Yeah.
strangers, work with companies we haven't. And there's so many examples of how this can be so effective. And guess what, if it wasn't working and it didn't have a great ROI, why do the biggest contractors on the
Well,
planet right
right.
now use it
Yeah.
religiously?
Right.
You can't get a better ROI. It's impossible, right? We think you said junk mail earlier. I
Yeah.
love that. Direct mail is still hot. It's still one of my favorite things to
Yeah.
send. Why is
Yeah.
it still effective? All right. But what's
Yeah.
the difference between some guys out there will be, rolling their eyes, oh, I can't get nothing. I bet you if we looked at the copy, we looked at the message that it sent and how it, makes the customer feel, or if it was even sent to the right area, the difference can be 30, 40, 50% difference in whether you generate business from it or not. So
Yeah.
again, these are things, no matter where you're at, whoever's listening in, let's keep it real simple, right? We want to have an email, at least a follow up that's automated, Okay. Doesn't have to be perfect, but just keeps in touch with your client. A
Yeah.
text sequence nowadays, again, if you need any of these things, reach out. Like, these are easy, quick wins that every contractor needs to have. Because
Yeah.
again, think about competing against that. Like, it takes a couple of times, just the reminders to your clients and not being on your time. If you are still making those phone calls, that's great. That's fine. But how many of them get missed? Let's be honest.
Oh.
And especially, is that scalable? Is that something that you can do
Ooh.
when you have 100 estimates? No, and neither will your salespeople. That's why you have these things in place, right? So you never let a lead follow through. And believe me, people that are very value orientated that maybe didn't make the decision on that call, they appreciate those. If the copy's right, there's nothing wrong with following up and adding more value to what you've offered. The other way to look at it too, guys, for a lot of you, I'll just be honest. We'll talk. We'll be straightforward here. You suck at sales. You probably can't sell yourself out of a paper bag. This can make up for that. All right. I know I am.
That's a
Listen,
good
when I
point.
started out, I was a
Yeah.
dirtbag sales rep. Like, I was not good at what I did. I was out there like everyone else, just going like, oh, I got to get people to like me or whatever.
Yeah.
Most of you guys shouldn't be in front of a person to professionally sell in the first place. That's just, we'll accept that as being, again, outside of our wheelhouse. For you guys that are good, this is only going to enhance that, because you can take your entire presentation that you were going to make to your client, break it into small bite-sized emails, and then feed it back to them. And it makes up for a bad presentation or maybe a bad, first impression. It can help. It improves.
So, all right. So, I'm again, I'm guessing based on what you were just saying with call you had this week, and again, based on my experience where we had, I mean, again, even after and again, I'm kind of embarrassed to say this, even after I had put a CRM in place,
Mhm.
and it was organized, and it was the the nervous center of what we were doing, I still hadn't integrated all the stuff that was in QuickBooks. So,
Right.
if if other people are like me,
Yep.
or and they've got this similar situation, maybe they've done the right thing and they've taken the right step, they've got a contact manager CRM now,
Yep.
but they don't have everything in one place. We've kind of shared how you can do that as far as like pulling those out, like exporting those out of your QuickBooks or whatever you're using. And then, you know, I think it sounds like you said every email address is worth like $30, right? So
Yep.
if you're running active like campaigns, then you could, if you have 1,000, that's like 30 grand, right?
Yep.
I
That's
mean,
just sitting
so
there waiting to be
yeah.
waiting to be harvested. So
So
yeah, that's well worth it to reach out to us. Let us do the technical stuff. Again, deliverability is getting harder and harder and harder. Like, they've come down hard on spam, making sure you have the right things. I mean, that's your best solution in this case. If you are technically savvy, and you want to get it set up and do it the right way. Again, just make sure you have good copy. Like, there's a lot of steps that you'd have to take, but bar down, it's going to be the best investment you make in your best in business with the lowest ROI. And it's something you continuously go back. Again, how many of you guys are buying, ads, buying leads for $50, $60, all right, and just giving up on them,
I was going to say the other thing too, Jay, is that again, one of my concerns was, I was always thinking like, okay, so who's going to do this, right?
Right.
So that was another, I think, barrier or hurdle for me, was not only did I have to task somebody with going into QuickBooks and
Mm-hmm.
doing all that export, shit and everything, and then organizing it, or I would have probably ended up organizing the spreadsheet myself, which I knew was going to be time. And then, if once we set up the email account, and at the time I didn't, I didn't, I mean, we had talked about this, but before I met you, I didn't have anybody that I trusted.
Right.
And so I thought someone's going to rip my fucking face off on this.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I guess my concern was, again, who's going to manage this? Because then you
Right.
see what I'm saying? Because
Right.
it's the admin's going to have to do it, or one of the admins are going to have to do it, or
And
I can't
that's
do it. You know what I mean? So like,
exactly. So again, just
how do we
be
help people with that?
yeah, be smart. Come to us. We will set you up. That's part of our offer. Again, these are things we do daily. We've got good copy. We take care of these email campaigns. We set it up. We make sure it's speaking to your audience. We make sure that, again, that lever is, warmed up and ready to go. And after that, again, if you don't want anything to do with it, that's fine. If you want to have, some influence on it and, you're thinking of doing it yourself, there's lots of ways we can work together on this. But again, if I want to be able to offer value to you on this call, is booking a call with us. Let us at least look at what the strategy is that what you're trying to do. And we'll just be honest with you, right? Like at the end of the day, here's the steps you need to take, right? I don't hold back anything. Or, again, maybe it's easier for you to just outsource it to us and we take care of it.
So is that one of those things too that you've got your virtual assistant?
Yep.
Like your automated, like where it's just the system is automatically responding. Like,
Yeah, so you can use AI on the responses to them, but it's not there yet. Okay, so
okay.
anybody with email, like it's more in the DMs and like in direct messages because it's a natural language thing, right? When it comes to email, it's not there yet. And again, we would be sending that to the client as a lead. So we'd be setting it up. We have setters that set them up like manually for a lead.
Yeah.
Most campaigns don't get that many. Again, a 20,000, list, you're going to get 1 or 2% that respond. It's easy to handle those responses and set them up as appointments. Like that's our
So you're
system.
not looking at, so the heavy lifting is in getting the campaign set up and making sure, that the message, in the body, which is the copy, that's
right.
All that is all right and everything. So
it's hitting actual email boxes and not spam boxes.
Yeah. Okay. So that's where, okay. So, and we obviously we do that. That's part of our business, part of our offer. And then as far as as far as the admin responsibilities, they're modest, right? Because
so we're going to convert them to a lead.
Leads,
yeah,
right?
That's right. So
and then
again,
it just goes into whatever the follow-up system is.
Right. Exactly.
Which we can help set up as well, right?
That's right. So again, if you want to look at it as a standalone, but most of the time when you come to us, we find we're able to get, more than what you're going to pay us back. Right. So that's the whole objective here.
Okay. Well, I think again, I think it's one of those things that again, from my experience, I'm guessing, and just again, knowing I can't think of any of any of the guys that I know that they obviously have my email, right? And I can't think of I'd have to I'd have to check my spam box, but I don't think that any of the guys that I know and worked with send out emails, it's one of those things that I don't think we're doing a lot of, you know what I mean?
What's very interesting about that in general is that if you look at the contractors again that are top 10%, I would say the top 10%, they're utilizing these things because think about it. How much did it cost you? It cost me $5,000. It's like to start off, and easily $100 million sold easily.
That's crazy.
Okay. So really, again, but the resistance to it is that you probably haven't thought about that before. Right. And then when people do, they typically try to do it themselves. And let me be the the example of not doing that. I've had my URL completely delisted from Google for trying to optimize SEO and in the wrong way. I've had my email boxes, okay, because I thought it would be clever just to set up my raw email that I use to send to customers and send out a couple thousand emails to people, and that got me blacklisted. And it took we had to literally stop using that email altogether. We couldn't do it. It took out all of our, so don't do that. Right. That's the last thing you want. And then in terms of writing copy and writing, messages that convert, campaigns that convert, again, that's a specialized thing. And do you really want that responsibility? Do you want that workload? No, again, your job is to get the contacts. Somebody else can work on converting them. And the ROI that you're going to spend is far better than any other campaigns that you're running. And that's just really where I'm going with this.
Yeah. And I was going to say too, Jay, we need to wrap it up here, but I'm just remembering I cold called so many generals and other trades, like, trades that are friendly, like, that would typically refer to masons. And I mean, I mean, cold called my ass off for 2 years. And I just think to myself, man, if we had gotten a little more organized and
Mhm.
had like a very simple, email system that was like running, I could have generated I would have saved so much time, because
Right.
I mean, and frustration. Cold calling's hard, it's a
Right.
lot of
Well, and it's
don't
the
call
other
me.
way. Again, these things are out there. They're, the guys that are utilizing them are crushing. Like that's what built a lot of these companies, these big companies up. I
Yeah,
mean, between the like door knocking, if you're in that kind of thing, I mean, this is essentially digital door knocking, right?
right.
That's what we're looking at. That's what we're talking about. So, I mean, it's a numbers game. The results, if you're trying to do it manually, will not work out. It's not worth anybody's time. So you have to get clever about this stuff, right? So, I mean, again, now you know what another, opportunity is in marketing. It doesn't mean that you have to figure it all out because it will take you forever. People have entire careers built on this, right? So
Right.
again, don't make sure that you're dealing with the right people that are going to be able to deliver results. But I would recommend that most contractors, outsource this, come to us, we'll help you set it up, in any way that you need it to be, which suits your business. Again, here's not a one size fits all approach to it, but beyond that, again, you now know another marketing secret that, again, is what takes that cost per acquired customer and brings it down to a level that no one can compete with you.
Well, and I think that's the thing too, that, I mean, you know, in an alternate universe where I ended up buying the company, and and I'm a client of yours right now, like I would, like, the two things that I was
Mm,
really wanting to do was email, like actually communicating with our people, like our customers and other, affiliates, other contractors and things, to stay connected. And then the other thing was advertising on social media,
mhm.
because it's a blue
So
ocean. Nobody's feeding there, right? There's
no,
nothing
that's so
happening.
true.
There's no other contractors there.
So
And so it's like, it just seems like it's like waiting for the taking,
absolutely. So here's one last tip for guys that are out there that are a little bit more advanced. When we're advertising on social media, okay, what do you think is more valuable? A DM message or an opt-in where you've got phone number, email, contact? What do you think is more valuable?
Well, I think it's the second one.
Okay.
After the
So,
conversation we
so
just had.
what should be your objective instead of asking someone for a quote, an estimate, and like, again, you use your content, and that is what the world we live in now. If you create some good content that, resonates with your ideal buyer or ideal audience, you're going to move them to share their contact information with you.
Right.
And again, now you've taken them off the platform. And let's just say you get banned, and that happens all the time, or you don't get enough views or whatever. Okay. That email and that contact's still there.
Right.
You can
Forever.
message that
Yeah.
they've given you permission to email
Right.
and to contact them. So what's bigger opportunity? What takes more
Yeah.
work or more effort? Right.
And so your point is well taken. So it's also, again, even so, for those that are actually, like, doing what everybody's not doing, and they're actually putting out a Facebook ad, or
Mhm.
and there are guys that are doing it. I mean, there's not very many, but there are guys that are doing it, and ladies. But like, they're running the table,
Right.
and they're most of why they're doing those ads is to get someone to share their
Opt in.
contact
That's right.
information, so
It's a bribe.
that, yeah.
So again, we've talked about this.
Right.
So,
Maybe
well,
trade
but
off is a
but
better.
hold on.
Right.
Again, you guys fall, like everybody here and everybody listening has fallen for these bribes before. So
Yeah,
let
of
me give you an
course.
example. Instead of asking somebody like everybody else, all the other companies out there, like, you need an estimate, you need an estimate, you need an estimate, I'll give you a free quote. I'll give you a free quote. Well, how about this?
Right.
Hey, how about this? I got a checklist of how to select a plumbing contractor, or I've
That's
got
good.
this, what to do in an emergency. And
That's
I'm
great.
going to give this piece of information I know you need, all right, for your contacts. Is that not, now what have I done there?
Well,
All
you're
right.
giving value, right?
Right. And I've
You're
also
giving value.
extended the relationship and the
Yeah.
opportunity time that I
Yeah, that's
have.
good.
right? So if you think about that, if we're using social media, you would explain the main problem, right? Hey, most people feel uncomfortable hiring a contractor because they don't know the first thing about hiring a contractor. I've got
Right.
this short, 1-page checklist. Anybody that wants it, just comment, I want it or whatever, and boom, now
So
you're sharing that and you've got both. You've got the DM,
yeah.
you've got their, like, they're locked in. They see you as a trusted source. Like, it's just about how you look at it, right?
I was gonna say, I feel like we're going down a little bit of a like a
Yeah,
rabbit hole here, but like, it is, that feels like such a layup, right? Because again, like we get in our heads about our trade and we're like, well, no one cares about, caulking, or no one cares about waterproofing, or no one cares about metal roofing, but they care about like stuff like blowing up and like having
right,
like a $50,000 like repair. They care about that if they can avoid it, right? And they care about not having, for us, working on stuff that's on the envelope, you roofing, me masonry, like they care about water not coming in, right?
right.
And fucking up their drywall, or like having to replace window frames. They care
Yep.
about that a hell of a lot. So, we kind of get lost, like we kind of
Yeah,
forget,
we make it
like,
about us.
yeah, like they care about that a whole lot. They care about like that's stuff not going wrong, and if they can
Right,
prevent it, they care about preventing it.
right,
So, you know, there's, so I think, again, I think it's one of those things that, when we get outside of our own heads and remember, like, what does this person, what does our customer want? Well, they want like minimal pain and maximum pleasure, right?
right.
And then what does that mean? Like, how do we, how does that intersect with what we're, our business and what we offer?
Right.
So, um, anyway.
Cool. We'll have to get more into that one. It's a
Yeah.
great
So,
strategy.
okay. So, all right. So let's just kind of put this, I'm going to kind of like try to put a bow on this. So, for folks that are like, again, in this position I was in, where lots of emails, not organized, buried somewhere like QuickBooks, there's definitely a map for that, and a
Mhm.
way to, turn that, basically those are assets. Like
Absolutely. That's
it's
equity.
like, it's
It's
almost
equity.
like if you had like it's almost like if you had a stock certificate, for like a company that's worth a bunch of money, like an Apple,
Yep.
right?
No,
You
it's
got
exactly what it
you got
is.
stock certificates for Apple, Apple back in like 1985 or
Mhm.
1982, whenever they went public the first time, and your grandfather gave you these stock certificates, and you have 1,000 shares of Apple, which is now like worth like $1.5 million, and it's just sitting in a drawer somewhere.
Yep.
The emails are kind of the same. I mean, I'm not, oh, this is not overreach, right?
No,
Like they're kind of the
no.
same thing. They're
And
just
again, the
sitting
right,
there and you're not utilizing. It's an asset. It's got value, but it's just buried in it's buried in one of your systems somewhere.
correct. So, I mean, I call that business equity. And what you need is somebody to come in and convert that equity to cash, right? So,
Right.
again, if you're not the person, and you got to ask yourself, like, how great am I at copy? Do people
Right.
respond to my emails?
Am
Right.
I a good writer?
So
Right. Yeah.
exactly. So again, unlock that equity. That's, when I go into any business, it's the first place I go is show me the email list. I'll take that. I'm going to optimize that first. We're going to get some cash so that you can afford to pay my bills. Right. So it's, again, for all of you out there, you guys are sitting on gold. If somebody that knows what they're doing comes in and unlocks that for you, you're going to be better off. And then moving forward into the future, for you guys that maybe don't have those contacts, think about that as being the real objective in the first
Yeah.
interaction you're
To
going to have,
get those. Yeah.
right? Because it's giving you freedom now. If you're not dependent on just ads, you're not dependent on just door knocking. You've got a whole list. And again, if you want to get really technical in why we would do this, think 10 years down the road when you want to sell your business. If you have no ability to outbound to those
Right.
20,000 clients that you've served, okay, your valuation is going to be very low. If you are
Right.
actively using them, that's considered reoccurring revenue,
Makes the business worth more.
right?
Yeah.
So it's worth a lot more. And again, these are why email lists are so sought after, even cold ones, right? But if you have a
Right.
warm one that people are responsive in, and you've got a good system in, you again, those are the backbone. That's like the base of a lot of marketing campaigns, has been and will continue to be for a very long time.
So I think, to again try to put a bow on this, I So I think that, it's one of those things that, we've got to, we can't stick our head in the sand on this. We've got to do, like, we've got to move forward, right? So like if you've got, like, if because again, I knew I wasn't doing the right thing. I was just like putting it off, putting it off, putting it off. But but I knew, right? And you might be in that same position where, like, I gotta do some, I gotta do something with this. It is like, there's a lot of rewards on the other side of taking some action, and again, we can help with that. So, a couple things. So we, first of all, Jay and we do this every Friday, 3 o'clock Eastern time, and um, where we take a subject like email marketing, which is I think to a lot of people not that interesting, and we try to break it down and into like a practical way to attack and solve. Also, I go live Mondays at noon Eastern time to share the plays that I ran, the things that I did to turn around a masonry restoration business. And then Jay does free trainings Thursdays at 3 o'clock, where he spends an hour just, running through like different ways to do this. For example, I think we'll be talking about like automating systems in the next few weeks and so on. So things that can help, in the business right now, like things that like contractors can take and like plug into their into your operations. So if you want to do the free training, just send a message or comment on the live. um, and obviously, again, like, we're here every Friday at 3. I'm live every Monday at 12. And our, the reason we do this is to, bring as much value as we can to this community. Because, Jay has run and still runs a very successful, one of the more successful roofing businesses in Toronto. I turned around a masonry restoration contractor that was like, like virtually dead. And, and we have a lot of conviction about supporting this community and, like bringing, really good solutions to contractors. So for everyone that hung out with us and watched and, for a little bit, thank you. We appreciate that. And we'll see you again next week.
Bye.